quick little 2 seconds here. Obviously, you just look at the stat sheet, they just imposed their will on us on the glass. I think they wore us down physically and mentally. I was pleased with the way we competed, but their front court guys were just a little too physical, a little too big, and eventually that caught up with us. So, we got a defensive rebound a lot better. Certainly, they're a very good opponent, ACC opponent, so we're going to get out rebounded, but the margin can't be that dramatic if we're going to have a chance to win games in our league. But they're good, and then Kid Cummings really took over. I think what happened was it was a close game, and then Cummings kind of took over the game, not only shot making, but playmaking, and offensive rebounding, and Cummings kind of took over the game, and it just got away from us quickly.
They kind of shut down Nico there. They did shut down Nico there in the first half. Didn't get a single point. Then he came out. He scored those 10 straight points. Just what did he do different there out of break?
Well, it's interesting. They were kind of daring him to shoot threes, and we've really been talking with him. He's a super dynamic, talented player for us, but his shot selection has been a little shaky. So I think he was a little gun shy early. And the reality is, in this game, the best shot we're going to get is the best shot we're going to get. So, like, if it's after one pass, a catch and shoot three in this game might be the best shot we're going to get. So I said, hey, I appreciated him trying to be coachable and trying to do what we wanted, but I'm like, hey, don't be gun shy. Like, that might be the best shot we're going to get because they're so physical and big. So he was a little more comfortable shooting it right away, where I felt like, even though he did take a bunch of threes in the first half, they were always kind of like not in rhythm and a secondary thought. And I thought in the second half, he missed his first one, but then he and the first one was halfway down, and I said, hey, keep shooting, because he's a good shooter. So I think a lot of it, they got to give them credit, their defense, but I think too is, this is a different game. Like, if we're playing a team our level, him just jacking up a three is probably not a good shot. But in this game, it probably might be the best shot when you get in that possession. So he had to have a little bit of a mindset shift, and again, I think it's more him trying to do the right thing and be a team guy and be coachable, and so I probably need to do a better job going into this game telling him that,
Coach, you mentioned the size was a problem, but how much was the speed of Pitt a problem? It seemed like in the second half they were able to get in transition a lot.
Yeah, I think that's part of just kind of physically wearing us down a little bit. We're still a little short-handed, but I think the speed is. I don't think the speed was as much an issue as their physicality. It's kind of like a boxer. Like a guy's jabbing you all fight, and you're like, well, that's just a jab. Well, by the 9th round, 10th round, it slows you down. So I think they kind of jabbed us to death, and they're still a little fresh, and we're kind of worn down, and now the disparity, the speed really kind of rears its ugly head. So they deserve a lot of credit. I think they're very good. I was telling Coach before the game, I really like their team. They have a lot of shot makers. I mean, heck, they were probably missing their best playmaker, thankfully for us. But Cummings is a terrific player who gets other involved, and they have a lot of answers offensively. And eventually they got to us.
Did Federico, him coming in as a starter wasn't something that you guys, I guess, got to see too much of on film. Did he catch you guys off guard? How well he did?
No, and obviously Hughley's a terrific player, but he's not the player he's going to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably still working his way from his injury. And to be honest, when they started Federico, for us, we're like, oh my God, like it's going to be a lot, because one of the things that Hughley's struggling with now is to guard, and now you put a guy who's maybe a liability defensively, and a guy who makes it impossible to score on him, at the rim, and then his offensive rebounding. So it actually, now again, long term, Hughley's a borderline all-conference player when he gets in shape, but I actually thought it was a negative for us because the kid is so athletic, he's so long. He probably can get away with some things against us that he might not be able to do in the ACC. And I mean, the guy had 10 offensive rebounds. I mean, we had no. When you make a team miss 10 times and they automatically hit it back, it's very tough. So it was not a shock. It was actually a little bit like, because we thought, again, we could maybe exploit that offensively with Hughley a little bit while his mobility is not where it needs to be yet. And then Federico just kind of, negates that completely. And then he does his offensive rebounds like he did. It's like he's a defensive nightmare and then an offensive nightmare because he's just getting every miss. So He was a terrific player. I mean, if he can give them that type of energy, I mean, that's just a major. I mean, he had 17 and 14. It's ridiculous. You know, I'm sure his career high probably in both, right? You guys probably know that more than I do, but you know, so his career high in both, right? So listen, they're good. I was proud of our guys. We competed. You know, we felt like if we can just keep it close, get to 8 close, and they kind of just open it up, and then, you know, once the score gets to 16-18, then they get a lot more comfortable, and then shots just start. You know, there's no pressure if you miss. You're like, well, here's the other thing. There's no pressure if you miss. Federiko's getting the offensive rebound anyway, so just jack it up there. So there was a luxury there, but they deserve a lot of credit, and we have to play better. And it did show, it exposed our biggest weakness, which is rebounding. Our last 2 games, which were very close games against 2 good low major, mid-major teams, we lost because of offensive rebounding, and then this got exploited exponentially because of their size. So, but it was good. This was a great game for us, and eye-opening in terms of, like, if we don't start rebounding, we're not going to be the team that we think we could be in our league. But again, I think if you're a Pittsburgh fan or covering Pittsburgh, I think you have a lot to be excited about. They got some answers. They got old guys. They got smart veteran guys that have been through the wars at other places. And once they get healthy and kind of get comfortable together, I think you're going to see a team that people are excited about.